last session of track 2. I'll try to keep it quick, but this session is also important. So I'll share some important insights regarding how fraud happens and what are the different practical steps that can be taken to ensure that fraud stay to the minimum on your WooCommerce store. So first, let me introduce myself. I am Jinendra Khobare. I have been building solutions since 14 years. Out of that, last 4 years, I've dedicated myself into reducing frauds on various stores to ensure that their fraud needs are met and their frauds are reduced from 30%. For some, we have reduced it up to 90 to 100% as well. Now, by the end of this session, the idea would be to share some actionable strategies which will help you reduce frauds on your platform. So if you have a WooCommerce stores or if you have clients who have WooCommerce store, these are some strategies that you can implement to reduce frauds on your store and keep the fraud to the bare minimum. Now, before we go ahead, let me share that how much big of a problem this is. I hope that you might be familiar with fraud, right? You might have faced some kind of fraud, or you might have some friends or colleagues who have faced some kind of UPI fraud or say online fraud wherein some unknown store or unknown person has asked for some money and some money is debited from their account. So in the same way, this is merchant fraud, wherein if the merchant is facing any kind of fraud, their user's account has been taken over or some data has been stolen or some fraudulent orders has been placed on their platform, then that is where it contributes towards merchant fraud. Now let me share on how big the problem this is. Each year about $48 billion of losses are faced by the businesses worldwide. And out of those, and I'm talking about online payment frauds only. And out of those, about 1/3 are coming from account takeovers. I'll cover what are account takeovers shortly. And if I have to specifically talk about WooCommerce, in that case, about 7.8% fraud happens through credit cards. So the problem is really big, but not much talk happens. There are only a handful of plugins available on WordPress which will help you on reducing these frauds. Usually some inbuilt policies are built up. So now what I'll do is I'll take you on what are these different fraud types and what are the different practical steps that you can take in order to reduce frauds on your platform. So these are the major 5 types of fraud that happen on WooCommerce stores. First is credit card fraud, or it's also called a stolen credit card fraud or card testing, wherein fraudster basically purchases a database of stolen credit cards from dark web, and using that, what they'll do is they'll run an automated script and they'll try to use those credentials to place orders on your platform. Then there is chargeback fraud, wherein there can be a legitimate purchase, but still the customer will file for a chargeback, thereby leading losses to the business. Sometimes knowingly, sometimes unknowingly, they might be knowing that they have placed the order, but they'll still apply for a refund and say that we have not placed the order. Next are bots and automated scripts. Bots are everywhere. If you have your own WooCommerce store or even any WordPress store, you might be familiar with this, that a lot of bot attacks keep happening on your platform. Now, when they use these bots can be used to create fake registrations, perform account takeover attacks, or even place fraudulent orders on your platform. What are account takeovers? Say that a fraudster has gotten access of your credentials, your username, password, by some means. Maybe you have written it on a notepad somewhere, or else maybe they have purchased it from dark web. From any means, by cracking or by stealing, they have gotten access of your username and password. If they are able to log in into your account, then we say that account has been taken over. Usually in sophisticated attacks, a fake registration or account takeover happens, which is followed by a stolen credit card being used to place orders on your platform. In that case, it gets very difficult to identify that this is fraud and what is the source of this fraud. Then we have fake registrations too. In fake registrations, what happens is often you have seen that in many e-commerce stores, on first sign up, you get some kind of an offer. Say that on first order, you'll get 200 rupees off or say 10% off. So what people do is they repeatedly create new accounts, often using the same device, and they'll try to exploit this. Now the aim behind putting up this offer is basically to bring in new customers or new users. If they are not coming up and someone is exploiting the offer, then it of course leads to business loss for the store. So all of these together contribute towards frauds. Now, what can one do to implement some steps to reduce frauds on their store? Imagine that you have your own home and your store's users are your family members. Now, what is the first step that you'll do if you see that there are some frauds happening on your platform? First thing that you'll do is maybe you'll place a CCTV camera outside your home. See that who is coming in, who is going out. In the similar manner, you can implement device fingerprinting. You can continuously monitor on what users are visiting on your platform, what is the normal user behavior, what is the bad actor behavior, and based on that, you can identify fraudulent users against the genuine ones. Second being blacklisting and whitelisting. This is definitely something that you should have on your store. If any fraud happens, then and there, especially during sale, you want something to be quickly implemented. You observe that from a certain IP, continuously fake orders are being placed for inventory holding or some other purposes. You should be able to quickly add a rule, blacklist that IP, or maybe blacklist that user so that they can't place any more further orders. In the same way, if you want to whitelist some VIP users so that they don't face any kind of friction, then that is also something that you can add on your store. Next is monitor and flag suspicious activity. So whenever any orders are placed, the right idea would be to basically not directly fulfill the order, observe each and every orders that are placed on your platform, and if any suspicious activity is observed, to basically flag it. Now it is difficult to manually review each and everything. So if there is an automated solution, that will definitely help. That is where a fraud detection or prevention plugin comes in. The plugin will do that for you, and it will also help you in setting up policies too. Next is setting up transaction limits and rules. What you can do is basically for each order, maybe you can set up policies saying that in a single order, more than 5,000 rupees order cannot be placed. Or maybe velocity-based rules can be set up. That within one day, a certain user can't place up orders above a certain amount. Or say that they can't place number of orders, that within 24 hours, more than 5 orders would not be allowed from a single user. So these all contribute towards helping you reduce frauds happening on your platform. Next being regularly review your policies. So what happens is, suppose that you've set up the policies and still frauds are happening. Then you should be able to observe and see that, okay, what is left out? What is the behavior that is causing these frauds to happen? And you should be able to go and tweak those policies accordingly. The velocity rules that I just explained, that helps. Also, in many of the cases, we observed that if the shipping and billing address don't match, in many of the stores, about 90% of them, usually the shipping and billing address are the same. So if it's not matching up, you should set it up for manual review. And if nothing is looking suspicious, you can allow it, or else you can just reject the order then and there. I hope you're able to follow up. Okay. Now, while working towards these practical steps, that is how we made our own plugin, that is SenseFRX. Now, in our solution, we have device fingerprinting and behavioral analytics. We observe each and every user when they are coming in, what are their usual timings, what are their usual pages, how they visit. All the behavior contributes towards creating a behavioral model so that we identify whether this is a genuine user or not. Then we have automated risk scoring in place. So in the policy engine that we have, you can set up certain policies, and based on that, automated risk score comes up. So what happens is, each and every order you don't have to manually review. Only the suspicious ones, based on your policies, if they are found to be suspicious, only then you'll have to manually review them. So a lot of your stress is taken care of by the solution itself. Then we have customized fraud policy engine. So like I've said, you should be able to set up policies as and how you want. Velocity rules are there, geolocation rules are there. Suppose that a certain village from UP is placing continuous fraudulent orders. You should be able to just set up a rule that from this location, above a certain amount, order should not be able to place. So that rule will help you again to subside the frauds from happening. If from that location any transaction is happening, they should be automatically set to manual review. They should not be allowed or rejected. So that will again help you in reducing frauds on your store. Then some machine learning based fraud rules are also there, which will basically identify sophisticated bots against the genuine ones. Say that there is a bot. It's not continuously doing high number of attacks. What it's doing is basically in 1 hour only three or four attempts and a big time gap. And even the behavior is erratic. In 1 hour, it's placing, say, 3 orders. In the second hour, it's placing just 1 order. In the third hour, it's placing 10 orders. It gets very difficult to identify. So if you have some machine learning based rules in place, it'll identify this behavior and identify bot against human ones. So it definitely helps. Then bot detectors should also be there, which will identify crawlers. If someone is trying to steal the product's data from your store, that will also definitely help you from reducing frauds. Now the last being detailed reporting and analytics. Now whenever we say that a certain order is fraudulent or a certain registration is not a genuine one, in that case, how will you trust us? So what we have done is for each and every risk score that we come up with, you can go and see all of the details regarding that order and why are we saying that this is a fraudulent one. So the detailed analytics and reporting definitely helps you in making the decision. Okay, this is a certain story that I'm sharing regarding one of our recent customers. So one of our customers who was from Japan was facing 3 fake registrations per minute, and the behavior was quite erratic. So on 13th September, they faced around 4,000 fake registrations. Even their website had gone down. So they had to quickly restore it and then enable it. And again, the fake registrations were keep on coming. And on 14th, they installed our plugin. And as soon as they installed it, the fake registrations dropped to 0. But the fraudster was a smart one. He tweaked the script a little. And again, the fake registration started. And you can see that the time interval was changed, so the graph is slowly increasing and fake registrations are starting again. So he again had to go and change the policies. We had observed that certain 4 to 5 locations were repeatedly being used. Still, it was very difficult to identify that it was a bot because all of the information was genuine. The email were Gmail, Hotmail ones. The username of the email was matching with the first name and last name. And the behavior was also like a human one. So it was very difficult to identify. But after tweaking the policies a little, specifically a certain policy that was crawler detector, which basically identifies crawlers who is trying to steal data on your platform. As soon as they activated it, they set the policy to reject, and the fraud started subsiding. Also, we had started to observe the IP ranges and the email names and the first name, last name that was being entered. All of that was taken into observation, and our machine learning algorithm was learning on what kind of attack is this happening, what is the usual behavior of these entity information that was being entered. And based on that, we were able to stop the frauds. And I'm sharing a screenshot of recent, just 2 days ago. No fake registrations. Only one registration happened 2 days ago, and that is, the green line indicates that that was a successful one, low risk score one. So all of these steps will help you in reducing frauds on your store. Now, apart from all of these steps, just a few quick best practices I'm sharing that will definitely help you. Using strong passwords and keeping your WordPress and plugins updated will definitely help. And this is very important that you monitor and audit each and every order that is being placed on your platform. Then definitely install a fraud prevention plugin, which will help you implement different policies. Then limit user access and privileges. Don't give complete privileges to all of the users that are coming in on your platform. Then implement anti-bot measures. This is really important. You can implement a honeypot maybe. Honeypot means basically a hidden field is added, which is not to be filled by a user. There are many steps that can be taken, but implement definitely some anti-bot, strong anti-bot measures, which are necessity right now for all the WooCommerce stores. Yeah, that's about it. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, our plugin is free to use. If anyone wants to use it, you can just scan the code and use it. If you have a WooCommerce store or your clients have a WooCommerce store, you can definitely use it. Thank you.